Do you have any problem with what Alan is doing?
No, I don't. In fact, businesses of all sizes and kinds across industries, from 2 employees to 10 to 100, are grappling with these same issues. When the legislation was drafted and when it passed, the economic conditions, the impact, the cascading effect of the coronavirus has really been very severe, obviously, for the economy and for small businesses. So, what they want and what we're arguing as a small business group is that there does need to be more flexibility in the rules. And like Alan said, this is not a grant. This is a loan. And in order for those monies to be forgiven, it does have to be used precisely the way the law and the rules are written in terms of payroll expenses during that 8-week window. So it just doesn't make sense if there's no demand. If you're going to disrupt employees' lives who maybe are already been laid off 2 or 3 or 4 weeks ago, to not have that certainty, them back to the business and then having to lay them off again. And I do agree.
So Karen, are you hearing? Go ahead, finish. I'm sorry, I beg your pardon.
That in terms of this is the best use for the taxpayer because that 8-week window started for him, and if you're going to bring people back just for it to be forgiven, as opposed to if it's not used for those purposes, you do have to pay that money back. Okay,
I'm going to switch back to Alan, and you heard what Karen just said. She said she has no problem with your approach here. But let me come at you, and I don't mean to say come at you, but let me just frame a question this way. Can you? That's all right. We're going to have some good cheesecake after this anyway. But
you're not kidding.
Can you understand why some people who were in contact with us overnight, and I think probably with you, would feel that you're sort of double dipping? In other words, your company and your workers are benefiting from, on the front end here right now, federal and state unemployment benefits, which, by the way, you as a taxpayer and employer are paying into. So let's just stipulate that. And then you would benefit at the other end. Then you would benefit at the other end from the PPP loans. Can you see why people would think, well, that's kind of a double dip?
Well, yeah, but there's a misconception out there. So if and I'll say it again, and I think Karen alluded to it, if we take people off unemployment today and use up all that grant money, and in 8 weeks we're not operating efficiently because of this virus, and no fault of our own. We don't want to be in this spot. Nobody does. My employees want to be at work today. Waiters don't want to be working in empty restaurants. Okay, Tyler? It's just not the way we operate. So if we're operating at a third capacity, we've used up the money, we then have to put people on unemployment. We haven't only singularly dipped, we've now put them back on unemployment and we got a free loan. I think I'm actually taking the honorable approach and saying I'll use the money either before the 8 weeks or after, depending on how business allows. And if it's after, then I have to pay back the loan, I pay back the loan. I think this is the honorable way to handle it.
We've had a fascinating conversation here this afternoon and yesterday and offline over the past couple of days. Let me just turn very quickly with a final question, if I might, Alan. If you get some sort of green light from the state, from the governor or the mayor to reopen your locations, how quickly do you think you will be bringing workers on? In what kind of trickle or flurry or flood do you anticipate doing that?
I think the business is going to dictate how many people we need based on how comfortable people are in dining out again. I mean, as I sit here today, it looks like a pretty scary environment for restaurants in general. And I think that the next 12 months, unless there's a vaccine, are going to be fairly horrifying for small businesses in this country. And the SBA loans were intended to save those businesses. And that's the way we are trying to use it.
I couldn't agree with you more on the idea that it's going to be right. And so my final question is the money that you have already received, the $1+ million, and you have other loans pending totaling something above $5 million. That money that you have received, you have put into a segregated account that you're not touching. Am I right on that?
Correct. I recommended this to everyone who's trying to get a small business loan. You set up a separate checking account So when the bank has to come see how you use the funds in 2 years, you can show them you used it for payroll and the associated taxes. You used it for utilities, which is allowed, and you used it for rent. And you show them those 3 items, and you show the use of the proceeds, and you show the timing of it, and it's either a grant or it's a loan. Simple as that. And as I said, the only other wild card is how this changes over the next several weeks and months.